Look, Sir Keir Starmer has flip-flopped so much, I think we should start calling him Gandhi. Do you remember this lady?
To those waiting with bated breath for that favourite media catchphrase, the U-turn, I have only one thing to say. U-turn if you want to. The ladies not for turning.
He talked tough, promised reform, swore the country needed change. But when the backlash came, Sir Keir Starmer folded like a wet napkin. Once again, the so-called leader of the opposition, who now looks more like the king of capitulation, has performed yet another dizzying U-turn. Just 72 hours after pledging to fix Britain's bloated, broken welfare system, Starmer has thrown the entire policy under the nearest bus. Why? Because some voices in his party didn't like it. Because Twitter had a tantrum. Because a few left-wing MPs started rattling their sabres. So instead of standing firm, Starmer, our very own U-turn king, buckled, again, and once more is the taxpayer who foots the bill. What exactly does Starmer stand for, besides his next poll number? Let's get one thing straight. Britain's benefits system is broken. That's not an opinion. It's a glaring, unavoidable fact. A quarter of the UK population is now claiming some kind of disability or incapacity benefit. That's not just unsustainable, it's madness. Over 650,000 people between the ages of 16 and 24, many of them perfectly capable, are now receiving government support for mental health-related conditions. Some of them, we're told, are so unwell they can't even show up for a face-to-face appointment. And yet, miraculously, they can post TikToks, go on holiday and upload gym selfies. Strange how that works, isn't it? Keir Starmer had a rare opportunity. A rare moment where he could have stood up, shown some backbone, and proved that he wasn't just another suit chasing approval. For a moment, just a moment, it looked like he might actually lead. He and his party floated reforms to personal independence payments, PIP, and universal credit, arguing, quite reasonably, that the system needed rebalancing. The aim? To stop fraud, reduce dependency, and actually help those who genuinely need support. And just like that, the left-wing mob exploded. Diane Abbott cried foul. Twitter went into meltdown. Labour MPs started whispering rebellion. And Starmer, our brave, principled, vision-filled leader, he panicked. He threw out the plans. Reassured everyone that, actually, no, don't worry, we'll keep the money flowing. No reform, no tightening, no tough decisions, just another £4 billion added to the taxpayers tab. They call him Sir Keir. But let's be honest, this knight doesn't ride into battle. He runs from it. He's not the leader of the opposition. He's the U-turn king. One moment he's promising to stand strong on immigration. The next he's rolling out the red carpet. One moment he's saying benefits need reform. The next he's pledging to protect every last penny. And through it all, he somehow manages to look confused, cornered and completely hollow. A man without a core, without a spine, without a clue. And yet we're told, by pollsters, pundits, and political cheerleaders, that this is the man destined to lead Britain. The man who couldn't even survive 72 hours of mild pressure before crumbling into a heap of excuses and half-baked press statements. Give me a break. Let's talk numbers. Because behind all the political theatre, there's a cold, hard economic reality. The UK's welfare bill now exceeds £250 billion a year. Read that again. £250 billion. That's more than we spend on the entire education system, more than defence, more than transport and policing combined. And what does Sir Keir propose? More of the same. More handouts, more dependency, more blind spending. He talks about fairness. But is it fair that someone on minimum wage pays tax so that someone perfectly healthy can sit at home with full benefits and zero obligations? Is it fair that over 1 million non-UK citizens are now receiving benefits while British families struggle to heat their homes? The Motability scheme alone has become a national joke. 1 in 5 new cars in the UK is now part of the programme. And what do we see? In some of the most rundown areas of the country, brand new Mercedes and Audis parked outside homes where no one has worked in years. Ask any working class Brit and they'll tell you they see it every day. But if you mention it, you're labelled cruel. Or worse, ableist. Because feelings matter more than facts. Perception matters more than policy. And instead of addressing any of this, what does Starmer do? He caves. Again. The truth is, this isn't just about Starmer's weakness. It's about a wider rot. A political class that fears Twitter more than it fears national collapse. Members of Parliament who serve their own popularity before they serve the country. We now live in a nation where suggesting work as a path out of poverty is treated like a hate crime, where reforming a broken system is seen as betrayal, and where being tough, honest, and realistic is political suicide. But there's something even more dangerous lurking beneath all this. Something we don't talk about enough. The growing anger, the resentment. Ordinary taxpayers, people who wake up at 6 a.m, slog through 12-hour shifts, and still can't afford a holiday, are watching this circus unfold, and they're done. Done with paying for people they've never met. Done with funding lifestyles they could never afford themselves. And most of all, done with leaders like Kier Starmer, who say one thing on Monday and do the opposite by Friday. He had a chance. A moment to prove he wasn't just another spineless politician. But in true U-turn king fashion, he did what he always does. He blinked, he buckled, and he blew it.